Hi, my name is Jillian Preston, and my final presentation is about how can leaders best cultivate diverse, cross-culturally sensitive environments. I chose this question because leadership today doesn't happen in a bubble. Whether in a small business, a global community, or even local community organizations, leaders interact with people from different backgrounds daily. It's not enough to hire a diverse workforce. Leaders need to cultivate environments where differences are respected, voices are heard, and collaboration thrives. For new leaders, this is critical because early leadership decisions set the tone for trust, equity, and team cohesion. Building these habits from the start helps create environments where people feel valued and able to fully contribute. In today's world, effective leadership and cultural sensitivity go hand in hand. But here's something to think about. How do you effectively communicate with team members who may have language barriers, or with clients who may not share the same cultural background? How do you make sure they feel fully understood, respected, and included? Let's look at how new leaders can actually cultivate diverse, cross-culturally sensitive environments by implementing 3 key strategies. First, leaders need to create inclusive cultures where psychological safety, equity, and fairness are the foundation. Second, leaders should leverage diversity strategically, not just as a value, but as a way to drive innovation, connect with new markets, attract top talent, and show social responsibility. And finally, leaders must develop culturally sensitive and global leadership skills, which includes adapting communication styles, respecting customs, providing training for awareness, and holding both themselves and others accountable. Together, these 3 approaches form a practical roadmap that any new leader can apply to build environments where diversity doesn't just exist, but truly thrives. Our first key strategy is to create inclusive cultures. It is evident that hiring diverse team members on its own is not enough. Leaders must intentionally build environments where people feel safe, respected, and treated fairly. Dubrin explains that equity means giving everyone a fair chance to succeed, especially those who have been historically disadvantaged. But fairness doesn't mean sameness. It means adjusting systems so that everyone has the resources and the opportunities that they need to succeed. Leaders also have to create what Dubrin calls a psychologically safe atmosphere, where employees know that they can share ideas or concerns without fear of being ignored or punished. Finally, inclusion means more than just numbers. It's about ensuring people are embraced and enabled to make meaningful contributions. For a new leader, this means setting the tone from day one. Listen actively, remove bias from decision making, and create a kind of environment where people feel valued enough to bring their whole selves to work. Our second key strategy is to leverage diversity strategically. Diversity isn't just about representation, it's about using different perspectives as a driver for growth and innovation. Dubrin highlights that a diverse workforce can spark creativity and better decision-making because different perspectives push teams to re-examine assumptions and think outside the box. Diversity also strengthens a company's marketing advantage, since teams that reflect the diversity of their customer base connect more authentically with those communities. Finally, embracing diversity gives organizations a talent advantage. As Dubrin explains, companies known for supporting inclusion attract and retain top candidates, especially women and underrepresented groups. For new leaders, this means viewing diversity not just as a social responsibility, but as a strategic advantage that improves innovation, market reach, and team performance. Dubrin defines cultural sensitivity as the awareness and willingness to understand why people from other cultures act as they do, which is why this is our third key strategy to develop cultural sensitivity and global leadership skills. Leaders must be adaptable and respectful, adjusting their communication and leadership styles to fit different cultural values. For example, some cultures value direct feedback, while others prefer a more subtle, relationship-based approach. Strong global leaders also demonstrate flexibility, patience, and a commitment to continuous learning. Dubrin explains that effective global leadership is about influencing people from diverse backgrounds by respecting their customs, listening actively, and building trust across differences. Finally, organizations can't rely on good intentions, they need accountability and structured training. That means providing cultural awareness programs, holding leaders responsible for inclusivity goals, and ensuring that diversity is embedded in both daily practices and long-term strategy. For new leaders, this means practicing empathy, seeking to understand before being understood, and modeling the cultural respect they want their teams to follow. These skills not only prevent misunderstandings, but they also unlock stronger collaboration and loyalty across global teams. Our next slide will show a real-world application of the 3 strategies that I've laid out in the previous slides. So, Pinterest gives us this real-world example of how leaders can put these strategies into action. First, they focus on building an inclusive culture. After facing discrimination claims, CEO Ben Silbermann didn't deny or minimize concerns, he took responsibility. Pinterest set measurable goals like increasing underrepresented employees from 12% to 20%, by 2025 and raising women in leadership roles to 36%. This set a clear message that fairness and accountability do matter. Second, they leverage diversity strategically by embedding inclusion into their product itself. A great example is Pinterest's skin tone search filter, which ensures users from all racial backgrounds can find beauty tips and content relevant to them. This innovation not only supported inclusivity, but also strengthened Pinterest's global user base. Finally, Pinterest prioritized cultural sensitivity and accountability. They mandated unconscious bias training, hired a head of diversity and inclusion, and even used reverse mentorship, giving underrepresented employees the chance to mentor executives. This reinforced that cultural awareness had to flow at every level of leadership. Pinterest shows that cultivating diverse, cross-culturally sensitive environments isn't just about compliance, it's about leadership decisions that make people feel valued, respected, and included. And those decisions ultimately drove both ethical responsibility and business success. To wrap up, leadership in today's globalized world means more than just guiding a team. It means cultivating environments where differences are respected and collaboration thrives. We've seen that inclusive cultures create fairness, psychological safety, strategic diversity fuels innovation and market growth, and cultural sensitivity help leaders adapt to build trust across differences. For new leaders, the choice you make now about diversity and culture will shape your credibility, your team's trust, and ultimately your effectiveness as a leader. As Dubrin reminds us, managing diversity is both an ethical responsibility and a competitive advantage. Remember how we began with the question, how do you effectively communicate with clients or team members who face language barriers or cultural barriers? The answer is found in everything we've discussed today. Listen actively, validate differences, and create systems where everyone feels understood and respected. At the end of the day, the real measure of leadership isn't just how well you manage differences when they do arise, but how you intentionally create space for them, transforming those differences into a competitive advantage, building trust among your team and clients, and shaping a shared purpose across the entire organization. This was my final presentation. This is my conclusion and works cited page. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.